on your girl.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Lifestyles with Eric. Happy Friday. We're almost Christmas time. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa. If you don't celebrate any of that stuff, then just happy to be alive. How about that? And I hope you're staying warm and you're safe. We've got Mr. Voice in the house tonight, Mr. G. George for G, the voice of reason. We've got him in the house tonight. Special guest. He does a co-host with me every now and then. You know, we go up live. We go live. We do big things when we do things together. So we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about Tory Lanez, the rapper Tory Lanez, that's got a lot of hits, platinum artist. Well, he supposedly shot Meg the Stallion 2 years ago, and the court case just ended today with a guilty verdict. I think he was convicted of three counts of three different things, and from what I've been hearing, they had any evidence of him shooting this young lady. Even her own friend has supposedly was the one that shot her friend Kelsey. But she got she had gotten a plea deal, or not a plea deal. She got an immunity deal where she could just get on the stand. And when she did get on the stand, she said she pled the fifth. So we all know when you plead the fifth, you're already you don't want to incriminate yourself or plead to anything that you possibly done. But everybody's saying that Kelsey's the one that shot Meg the Stallion. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how that plays out. It's kind of messed up for a young brother again to go through the system with a black woman and being accused of something and didn't do it. You know, at least I don't believe he did it.
Right.
I don't know. What's going on, everybody? Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, all that to everybody. What's going on? We are in the house and we are ready for it tonight. What's going on, everybody?
I see Mr. Terry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, my friend. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
We got Miss Debbie in the house. We got Miss Terry. We got Miss Hope, Miss Laura Lee. Tell Tracy, Stacy, and your mom I said hello.
Hello, Hope. Hello, Laura Lee.
We got 8 in the house. We got 8 in the house tonight. We're gonna see how many.
Hi, Miss Debbie.
Hey, all right. We're gonna see how many we get up in the house tonight, and then we'll get to chit chatting. I have the smartest audience in the world. I always like to say that my Lifestyles family is growing, and you guys come up with some of the best comments, some of the best ideas, and I truly appreciate that. That really means a lot to me because you always bring it. You're honest, you're respectful, but honest, and I appreciate that, everybody. Miss Bev Roundtree, what's going on? Merry Christmas. Welcome to Lifestyles. Thanks for coming in. All right.
Well, it's a cold one out there tonight, ain't it?
Man, it is cold. It's no degrees tonight. No degrees.
What?
I don't know. It's cold.
So forget the minus. It's just cold as I don't know what.
It's minus nothing. You know what I'm saying?
You just leave the minus off.
That's what you minus nothing out there. God dang it! It is freezing.
Man, I went out for a minute to take the trash out and take the dog out. Man, I was walking and it was so cold and the wind was blowing so hard I couldn't even breathe. I had to turn around and walk backwards. That
Terry
stuff is crazy.
It is none degrees. I agree.
That's true, Terry. Buddy.
I totally agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, man, I was tripping when I heard that about the outcome of that case, and I was like, wait a minute. If the reports are saying, hi, Laura Lee, Merry Christmas, you too. If the reports are saying that somebody else shot you and then this dude is taking the fall. Are y'all gonna pay this dude when he gets out? Is that what the behind the scene deal was? You know,
This is the
he takes the
weirdest case.
fall because somebody else is scared to go to jail.
This is a weird case, George. It's weird because all the evidence points to him not doing that. I mean, real clear evidence, not a reasonable doubt, but I mean, really that he did not shoot her. He didn't have no DNA on the gun or anything. I'm saying none of that.
Yeah.
The bodyguard was interviewed, who the bodyguard had been missing for a few weeks, and I guess he said that the girl jumped out and started shooting because, well, wait a minute, they were fighting. Meg the Stallion and her friend were fighting because Kelsey was messing with Tory, not Meg, and then Meg started messing with him, started having sex with him. So see, the thing is that they have this thing where supposedly, allegedly, Meg is always fucking her boyfriends, and they got into it. That clear. It's clear right there.
Okay. So that's if this is the thing. This is the incident that happened in Vegas, right? In front of the Aria Hotel.
No, this happened outside of the Jenner girl's house.
Okay, because I remember there was an incident that took place in Vegas when somebody when I thought Meg got shot in Vegas in the foot.
No, that happened in California. That happened they were at a party at the Jenner girl's house.
Okay.
Kim Kardashian's little sister's house.
Okay, so that wasn't so somebody. I remember somebody got shot in Vegas in front of the hotel, and I thought Meg was involved in that when she got shot in the foot. Somebody got shot in the foot.
No, that's
because that was all over social media.
That's probably two different stories. This
okay.
Right outside old girl's house. They had a party and they had left the house and got into it inside the SUV. Yeah, this is two different stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is the way I look at that. Regardless where she got shot, in front of whose house or wherever, if you have somebody that you know that's always sleeping with your dudes, why are you still hanging around them?
Because she's famous, and that's the only reason why. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that, buddy. If you got a millionaire friend or a friend that's getting ready to be a millionaire, you try to take as much shit as you can from them. I hate to say that because you want to try to gain a little bit of that as you can. Whether a little bit of notoriety or whatever. So although she's messed with her friends, she's still trying to hang up under.
Yeah, so that to me is telling me that no matter what you do or who you meet, if you meet somebody you really like, she's going to try to come after him. Or some kind of incident. Oops, he slipped on a thumbtack and he fell on top of me. That's how we end up messing around. So you need to pick better friends. All money, and what we say back in the day, all money ain't good money. All fame ain't good fame. So if this is the kind of conflict you have between some other chick or whatever is going down, you feel like this person's always coming after you, somebody you're trying to date, no, you got a problem. Number two, the person ain't really into you that you're trying to date. And number two, she's not really your good friend.
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, if he was really into you, he wouldn't have gave her, or any dude allegedly wouldn't give her the time of day.
Well, as a man, as a man, he probably felt like he was just messing with two friends, no big deal. But I mean, if she's always because men's feelings are different when it comes to sex, you know that. But as far as but normally women are different and they're more loyal when it comes sexually, normally. But if Meg is just a normal, if she's just a hoe, she's just a hoe that F's her buddy's friends. You know what I'm saying? And that's messed up because that's not a real friend, like you said. It's just unfortunate that one of our African American brothers has been convicted of something that he didn't do, and we hear this story time and time again, and it's unfortunate when a sister, African American sister, is placing the blame on a brother that we know how the system has already treated African American men. So as for her to be lying, allegedly to me, lying in my own opinion, is just to me a travesty of justice because you know, like I said, we already get convicted. We're already guilty before we're innocent as being brothers. And then normally it's a white person that's against us. But when it's a sister against us that lied, then what do we do? You know, with
Yeah.
this happens in different instances, whether they say you raped them or, you know, they're taking you downtown for child support and you know, it's not your baby, you know, different things like that that African American men are going through on a regular basis. When we were talking about the Kevin Samuels thing, where how women they just kind of they I don't know, kind of losing my train of thought. The things that the things that they're doing now as far as lying and putting different things on men and not being truthful, and then still acting as if they're this, that, and the other. I mean, it's just no, I know what I wanted to say. Oh, how black women want a black man to have everything together, or and we don't have everything together, but they want to kick you and abuse you and talk to you like you ain't shit, and still expect you to have a good job and do what you're supposed to do, take care of the home and this, that, and the other. But then they're still not doing what they're supposed to do either. So it's all in that kick a black man, send a black man to jail. It's all together. It to me, it's all together. Merry Christmas, Lachelle Matthews. What's going on? Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in, everybody. But yeah,
I'm reading what Debbie was saying. I think Al had a lot to do with him smiling and falling asleep in the
it could have
courtroom.
been.
Yeah, but I was not in the jury.
But
Yeah.
the jury, that jury probably was tainted by Rock Nation, and that's just my own opinion. This is my thing. Jay-Z is very powerful. I'm going into something else. Jay-Z is very powerful. She is under Rock Nation. Um, Illuminati is in it. Period. I believe that this was some sort of sacrifice slash humiliation ritual that she had to go through. Um, the man obviously didn't shoot her, but for him to get a guilty verdict, we know that is weird. That's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe there was a payoff on the back. I'll say the back nine. You know, when I say back nine, if y'all don't know what I mean, back nine is like golf term. You know, further on down the road, you go to jail. She can't handle going to jail. Um, Somebody might have got to implement it in another charge for lying about the investigation. So you take the file. When you come out, we got a bag waiting on you. We got a bag of money waiting on you. Just take the file for this and everything. You go do what's he term? What are you facing? 5 years or something like that?
No, 20 years.
20 years? Okay. So if the evidence is shaky, then he'll get off on the retrial or the
They're gonna
appeal.
do an appeal. Of course, he's gonna
Yeah,
do an appeal. But
he'll
this
do
is
the
just,
appeal and you take a bag.
it's
You get a
ridiculous.
bag of money when everything's over with.
It's ridiculous that he even has to go through this. I mean, that, you know,
Yeah.
like I said, this is strange, but we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. You know, I've seen stranger things happen in court. And you know, I'll say that this isn't over. They're filing an immediate appeal. So we'll continue to keep our eyes on this case and just kind of see what
I
happens.
mean, and then here's the other thing. What I always say: if you're a criminal in the streets, when you go to jail, it ain't what they know; it's what they can prove. So if this lady went off and she took the plea, took the fifth, and didn't say anything, she's shutting down. So if she takes a plea deal or whatever, or decides to say, hey, I don't know what went on behind the scenes, what was the jury's decision, reasoning for making that decision. But if she shut down and she didn't say anything, and she knew there was a lack of evidence pointing towards her that looked more like it was going towards him, or if he's taking the fall, whichever way it's coming out, she did the right thing by shutting her mouth.
So
If
she
she didn't
didn't,
want to go,
but she's the one that did the shooting. So basically, she wasn't going to tell on herself, Rodney. I mean,
there
George,
you
you know.
go. That's it. Yeah, yeah. That's what I tell these young knuckleheads out here nowadays. Sometimes the police don't know a daggone thing. They fishing. They got their poles in the water and they fishing, try to figure out what they know. Now, should you have to pay for your crime or for what you did? Maybe you pay for it by going to jail, or maybe you pay for it on the other side when you pass on. You may not think you're going. You may think you're going to heaven, but you ain't because of some shit you did. But keep your mouth shut. You know, it ain't. They have to prove everything. You might sit up here and they be telling you, well, so and so said this, so and so said that. You start running your mouth, and you next thing you know, okay, so now we got you against the wall. That's what the lawyers are for. So I wasn't there when the young lady got shot. I'm hoping she has a full recovery and everything gets worked out. And I hate to see this brother, if he's going to jail for somebody else, go to jail for somebody else. But
she's had a full recovery. It was just supposedly shot. They were saying she wasn't even really shot in the foot, man. It's just weird.
It was a graze. Yeah. That's what I'm just saying. I hope she has a full recovery. She can still do her thing anyway it goes. Man.
She's been doing her thing. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. I get it, but you know, sometimes we have little small injuries, and they somewhere down the line, you know, you have a little small complications with little, you know, scrapes and bumps and bruises and everything, you know. But I just don't. I hate to see when you get in trouble, they always tell you keep your freaking mouth shut and let the lawyers handle it. And that's what sounded like something might have happened behind the scenes. The somebody might have got together with somebody's representative and said, well, hey, you know what? She can't go to jail. I need her to go to jail. It was a misunderstanding. And the police might have been like, well, somebody's got to go to jail because we done did all this investigation. And he takes the fall. You know, he's facing 20. You get the appeal. You turn around, you get it. Maybe they drop it down to 5 or 10, and you get out sooner than that with good behavior. And when you get out on the back 9, you got a bag of nothing.
Do any time because he didn't do it. He shouldn't do any time. That's fucked up.
But
should do any time.
But look, that's true. But you remember, look how many people we've known that gone to jail for some of these celebrities, man.
Yeah, but damn, look, that ain't right, man.
That's a lot of. That's a lot of time. Yeah, I get it. It's a lot. But it's the process in the appeal process. What's the evidence? The good appeal attorney will be like, okay, we can get you off on this, and we can get you some, you know, a shorter sentence, because it's all fabricated up on what you're saying. Evidence is not related to you. You know, right. And if the dude was falling asleep in the court and he was doing stuff that that he's like thinking he's going to get off and get away with something, the jury looks at, because juries can be very biased sometimes. They can look at you and say, well, you feel like you're above the law, so we're going to give you some time anyway. We're just going to find you guilty just because.
Right. You're right. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So your lawyer just need to tell you, hey, man, straighten up. Act like you got some sense when you get to the appeal trial.
Your lawyer's supposed to groom you before you even go into court anyway.
That's true. They are. That's true.
So
yeah, sit up, have a suit on, make it look like you're taking notes, even though you don't know what the hell's going on, but just write down little things and make it look like you're into the case. Don't sit up here if you got your head down, falling asleep, act like you're bored. No, you can't do that, man. You know,
right.
And take them there, you know, and come to court like you got some sense. You know, don't come to court looking.
Be more humble.
That's it. Yeah.
Look more humble.
Be more humble.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Pastor Jamal Bryant of New Birth Ministries Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm gonna let you speak on that, and then I'll give my opinion on it. But I sent you something that gave you a little bit more insight. I don't know if you've seen that exact interview with him, but maybe where he was explaining it a little bit better, what he was trying to do. So if anybody's not familiar with Pastor Jamal Bryant, is a big owns more land than any church in the whole United States as far as African American church, and he's considering growing cannabis if it's legalized. I guess in Atlanta, I don't think not yet, but if it's legalized at some point for a business aspect, and then also to possibly bring in the youth that are into cannabis, if they're smoking it, maybe to turn that into a business aspect for them instead of sending them to prison and jail versus just getting high. Excuse me. He's looking at it on a business aspect versus, cocaine or heroin or anything like that. We all know marijuana is something that grows natural. You don't have to do anything to it like you do cocaine and coca leaves and baking soda and all that stuff. So we do know that that's a completely different what we would consider drug. I sold drugs for about 30 years. And I know that in my past that marijuana has always been a different quote unquote drug. I don't really consider it a drug because it shouldn't be scheduled the same. I'll put it like it shouldn't be in the same schedule. They call it different schedules, like Schedule 1 drug or something like that. I don't think marijuana should be considered that because although it can be addictive, it's not the same type of addiction. But anyway, he's considering selling or trying to grow cannabis on his land for the church and also to bring youth into the church. And, you know, George, you brought that up to me and I figured we'd talk about it and, you know, you voice your opinion on that and tell me what you think about it.
I completely disagree. I disagree with the idea that he's coming up with that concept because we talked about this the other day. I felt like a lot of churches are businesses instead of churches anymore. It's a fully functioning corporation. You look for business opportunities to generate profits, and these profits, a lot of times, you see. Well, I ain't gonna say a lot of times, but from my perspective, a lot of times, the money that you're generating doesn't go back into the community from some of these mega churches. So the first problem I had with when he's on the young lady's show. I don't want to mention her name because I don't want to get in any trouble because I don't want to promote her. Nothing against her. I don't know her personally. I don't know her show, but I just don't want to promote nobody else's show while I'm on your show. But let's just say you're in a business now. You're not a church. You say that you're a minister and all this stuff, but when you get out here and you do, let's take like a church. What's the gentleman? I don't want to say his name in Texas, but we know he's a very popular pastor. He's doing movies or writing books and all this stuff. And, you know, to me, you're getting outside the boundaries of preaching and ministry. You're doing a lot of things for economic purposes. Now, what I was asking you when I was talking to you about, I said, well, if that's the case, if you feel like you want to sell or grow and cultivate marijuana and teach kids how to grow gardens and everything, then teach them how to grow a garden where they can eat if you have all this land. And that food that you grow on that land can go to the community to help feed the community if you want to be a church. But you're saying, let's grow marijuana. So you're going to say, either you're going to sell this marijuana to whom? To just the kids that's coming into the church, you teach them how to grow, or you're going to sell the marijuana back in the neighborhood. So now you're becoming a drug dealer, be it legal or illegal. You're in the drug business now. So if you were going to do that during the heroin and cocaine epidemics, which is still an epidemic going on, why didn't you come and open up the church and say, hey, we have all this land, we could build some shelters, we could build some homes for the homeless, and we can get these folks who are crack addicted, heroin addicted, and we could find other means to get them through rehab and get them into the church and do the ministry for them. But
well, back then, George, he probably didn't have a church. He was young. He's 51. So back then he probably was still in college at Morehouse. I mean, now you could say, why didn't other church? But we're only speaking on this specific pastor because he's the only one that I've heard say that.
Okay.
So we can't really say why didn't he do that because he probably didn't have a church yet. He was still in college.
But still, okay, even if let's say you don't have a church when you was going to Morehouse. Now you on here and you're talking about we have the biggest land in this state, as the biggest mega church with all this land and all this wealth. You accumulated that wealth over time. You just didn't you did the show on this lady's show, and all of a sudden yesterday, 24 hours before the show, you had all this land. You accumulated that land through generating funds from the churches, from the people, the members of your church, or from other alternative sources. So the drug and heroin and everything that's going on now, methamphetamine, that's been going on for a long time. So if you had all this land, from my perspective, you had all this land, you had all this wealth, you could have done it long before then. And now all of a sudden that you see that marijuana is being legalized, you're seeing, I'm looking for young boys or young ladies that smell like marijuana. So you have a target market that you're looking for to sell a product, and you're going to do it through the church. To me, that's being a hypocrite. I'm like, if I was him, I'm just like, stay out of that lane, dude. If you're gonna, it just you realize
I
how much.
think that what he would have to do would be well, I think that he would have to be, and to not be a hypocrite, I think that he would have to probably go back on possibly some of his old sermons. Now, I don't know if he's preached about not smoking weed and not doing, because if he has, just like Creflo Dollar had to recant his take on tithing and offerings, and he apologized about what he had been preaching for years. So just like Creflo Dollar, if Pastor Jamal Bryant has spoke about not smoking weed and it's being bad and all this 10 years ago, if he was talking about that, then maybe now, if his stance is different on that, then yes, to not be called a hypocrite, then he would have to speak on that and say, hey, I apologize, or I was wrong about, not apologize, I was wrong the way I said that wasn't correct, because I've learned more about the industry, and it's not just about getting high, because we know that I'm an avid 420 advocate for 420, and that's because it settles my stomach. It's things that I utilize cannabis for, and it's not always just about getting high. At least in my own opinion, for my own personal.
Okay.
So,
But what you're
again,
talking about,
but
what you're talking, what I hate to interrupt, but what you're talking about here is if you decide to cultivate, farm, and grow marijuana, you have to understand that the marijuana that was around when we were little kids, and the big old G's that was around us was smoking the red bud and the gold bud. The marijuana that evolved into today's market is a lot stronger in different grades and different flavors and all this stuff. It's not the same marijuana.
well, that's because
That
people
was
have learned. I think, but I think it's because from what I see from living in California, living here, that's because people know how to. They really mastered. I'll say it's different and it's stronger because people have mastered the way to grow it, and not just growing it and then putting it in the oven and letting it dry and then smoking it. I think
that's
now
true, but
people have learned. That's all. I don't. It's not that they're putting something on it to make it do something else. It's just the fact that people know how to. It's a science now, and they've learned
yeah,
how to take seeds with another seed, and when it grows together, it turns into something else, and it grows. Hey, I don't know. I'm not a pro on that. That's one thing I
okay,
can't.
but
Go ahead.
I agree with you. But what I'm saying is they're cross pollinating different strains of marijuana to make something strange, make another form. So if he wants to go off and say, let's start a farm, it's not going to be like a farm where you sit up here and it's like you go down you drive down the road and you see corn and green beans and all that stuff growing. No, they're going to have to actually put it into a facility, into a house, and enclosed it in order to protect it from the people from the outside from stealing your product. So now you're talking about security measures. Then you're talking about no understanding how to grow different grades of marijuana. So you're getting off into a totally different field or a different business market outside of the church. You talk about spending millions of dollars to order to get this started because you want to attract, what did he say? Young men that come into the church, to bring them into church to teach them how to grow marijuana. Okay, you shouldn't be focused on that. Your main focus should be trying to get people to understand what you're preaching in the word. But way I'm looking at it is now I'm not talking to him one on one, but from my perspective, what I see, it's about the money, and it's about generating wealth. He's already talking about, well, he had the biggest church, so I can imagine what his house looks like. If you have one of the wealthiest churches in that state as a black church, I can imagine what your home looks like.
That's true, but you can create generational wealth selling marijuana legally if those guys are selling. Just say if he helps those little young guys that come to his church. Okay, say if he's growing marijuana on his property, they're getting the marijuana from him. It's legal. They're putting it in their dispensary that's legal. They're creating wealth for their family in a legal business.
But who's the they? Who's the they?
The people that come in the church, that's the petitioners, the guys that come in and join the church or whatever. If they're working and they start working in the church and they work in the field or whatever, and they open their own dispensary and get the weed from him, the same as stuff when I was doing it illegally, they could do it legally and not go to prison for it. And it turned into the prison to pipeline thing that's already been going on. If we could get those people out of prison, you know, I don't know. Hey, Miss Lois,
okay. See, you bring up a very good.
Lois Whistler in the house tonight.
Hey, Lois.
Hey,
you bring up a very good. You bring up a good point, but the point you're making is that generational wealth that you're talking about is probably going to go to that minister's family and maybe the people who are on a board. But the people that he's talking about bringing out of the streets and, as you say, bring out of the prisons, they're not going to see that generational wealth. They're going to be considered straight line employees. You may learn how to cultivate it, but trust me, the wealth is not going to go to them and their families and their next generations when they get out there and start working. You can look at any business model right now today, whether it be for profit or non for profit. Those people at the top, who are the CEOs and the vice presidents and everything, that wealth goes to their family and people who maybe, if you're a stockholder, you may see generated revenues after every quarter. The people who are the average workers, is very, very rare that you see them have the company's shares in enough economic wealth or shares of the company that they see generational wealth from that business. So what he's talking about is, we'll take the kids off the street. We will have this whole church or wherever we are going to have it at. That's going to be our new corner on the block. We want to eliminate the drug dealers and have you come buy our product. So basically, you're creating a farm system, as if you're down in South America, you're just doing it in America. What do they do down in Colombia? You have people who are down in, or Mexico. You have people in the fields. They're growing the product. They make it. They take it, and they bring the product to America. Okay, those people in the fields, they don't see that much profits out of that money, out of that product they're making in cocaine. And the same thing is going to go on in the marijuana industry, which it does. If you go around the country and you look, you see somebody who's working there. Maybe they're making $10 an hour. Maybe they're making 15. Maybe they're making 20. But they're not the ones who are creating or have created generational wealth. It's the people who own those businesses and owns those licenses. That's the other problem I have with him wanting to bring that suggestion up.
Okay.
He sees a market opportunity and he wants to take advantage of it.
Right.
Now, he may be subconsciously not understanding what he's doing, but you got to think, if he does that, then you got problems coming from other areas outside of law enforcement, people in the streets. You got other drug dealers that are going to be like, hey, man, you taking our money from us. So you might end up having somebody come by and shoot up your church because you're taking money out of our pockets.
And that's a good point. You brought up a good point. And you made a darn good point. Lois, you're right. The signs make it right. You're right. I agree.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you may have cartels that want a part of that money.
You're right.
I mean, we always know that when you get into the drug business or any kind of criminal activity, you got to deal with police. You're dealing with government officials, laws and regulations, if it's legal or not legal. And then you have other folks that come in from outside interests. It's like, hey, man, you know what? What about us? You might have let's say an Italian you living in New York City, and the Italians come down and say, hey, man, you want to get this building construction started. You can't do it without our unions and our say so. So he might have other interests that comes up wherever he lives at. And the cartels come along and say, hey, man, we understand you got a church. We don't care about the church. We understand that, hey, you want to start a business here out in the open. We want a piece of that. So you got to be careful about what you're suggesting.
You're right. And I just thought about it. Atlanta's one of the biggest hubs for the cartel, too.
Thank you. So you think he's just going to walk up and open up a church and be like, okay, I'm not going to pay the cartels? No, that's not going to happen. You're not going to take money out of their hand without paying a price.
You're right.
And they don't care about you being a church.
You're right. Everybody, make sure you're thumbs up in the video. We got 14 in. please make sure you're thumbs up in the video. That keeps everything in the algorithms. If you're not a subscriber of Lifestyles with Eric, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It definitely makes you a part of our family. George, everybody seems to agree with you on this topic. And I guess at the end of the day, when you really, whether you're a religious person or not a very religious person, it's kind of a common sense thing. Maybe the church shouldn't be involved in something like that, because at the end of the day, it could end up not so positive. Even if you have positive thoughts on what you're doing, it may not end up so positive. So I think that I will agree with you on this one, which we don't agree on everything all the time. But I definitely, I know that, but I agree with you on this one. And yeah, you brought the topic up, and I just figured we touch on it. And like I said, you unanimously, you have thumbs, all thumbs up for Mr. George tonight. God darn it! So if we was in the contest, I lost. So I'm gonna go with the Mr. George and in the voice, and I'm gonna agree with you. And Pastor Jamal Bryant, I think you're wrong on this one. I agree with you on trying to bring on young men into businesses, but not in this way. If you weren't into church and a pastor, maybe it could be done differently, but not in this manner. So this could create other ripples, and at the end of the day, could hurt your parishioners that go to your church. It could hurt some people. So I think we don't want to go down that route, and we got to think about that one. But I just appreciate everybody coming in tonight.
Man,
we've had a good night tonight.
You made a good point right there.
What's that?
When you said it might hurt your parishioners, because when you said it might hurt the parishioners, when you think about your grandmothers and great grandmothers that have been going to that church, oh wow, man, you hit the nail right on the head on that one.
Right. So and again, I'm a common sense type of person. You know me, I'm straight to it, no nonsense, common sense. That makes plenty of sense. I had to really think about it. I do look at it as a business, but I'm not a pastor, so I can choose to do that business if that's what I choose to do. But no, I don't believe that ought to be brought into the church. No. That could create all sorts of other things. So no, probably not. I think that we probably shouldn't do that. Even if he leased some of the land to people to grow cannabis, it probably still might not be a good idea. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. But again, everybody, I appreciate you all coming in. Yeah, we don't want to go down that route. I don't know.
Yeah. That would be a touchy subject for the community. Man, I could just see the negative impact on that, in so many different directions. Like you say, starting with the people who are the elders of the church who've been there for years. There might be some feedback, some negative reactions about that. Then you think about the community. How much money are you going to generate, and how much money goes back into stabilizing or help to rebuild the economy or the wealth or the looks of the community? And then you have the outside influences that you haven't even thought about that could be a negative impact on your business. But pastor, just all I can say, my best advice: leave it alone and walk away from it.
That's my advice too, Pastor. And Laura Lee said, "You didn't lose. You just brought out a very good conversation." Absolutely. There was no winners and losers in this. We just had to bring out a good topic and speak on it and get you guys' opinions. Again, I said I got the smartest audience on YouTube, and it's my Lifestyles La Familia, and I appreciate everybody coming in tonight. Make sure you thumbs up the video, share the video out. That's very, very, very important. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to let me see your phone. Let me go to YouTube. Let me subscribe to Lifestyles with Eric. boom, you're in. You're a part of the family. We talk about everything on Lifestyles with Eric, and again, I just really appreciate more than anything is the opinions and the comments that you all leave in the chat box. So keep on doing that. We'll be monetized soon. We'll be super chatting, and it's going to be better. We'll have the ads on my show, and we're going to be growing real soon. So we're probably about 700 hours away, or watch minutes, whatever, away from being monetized. So that's a long way from 4,000. I mean, we came a long way, and all I need is 4,000. So we're about 3,200. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Once we get to 4,000, boom, we're over the limit. We're definitely, then we're partnered with YouTube. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a partnership with YouTube so we can get some sponsors, and we can take this thing further. Lifestyles with Eric and the voice of reason. Boom. All right, everybody. Everybody have a Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Holidays, everybody. Be
Happy
safe.
Hanukkah. If you don't celebrate any holidays, that's okay. That's fine. Just have a happy day, a blessed day, a positive day, positive evening. Eat with your family, spend time with your family, hug your family, kiss your family, stay warm, and we'll see you next time. Stay positive out there. All right, take it easy, everybody.